Hey guys, Thomas the Silly Jr. here, aka Mustached Tom, here to review the movie Mile 22, featuring Mark Wahlberg as James. So we begin this movie seeing this little family unit, or as we assume a family unit, getting ready to do a little family travel into this house, but get a little lost. And we cut to the other side of the house where Mark's character James is watching from the other side. And as this little operation is actually going down, we see that there's an entire air team that has all this tech, and even the two people in the front are like these secret ops, I guess I'll call them. And as soon as the door opens, they fire their way in and take the house by storm. So they're taking pics of the people inside, and they're going in for the safe, trying to collect all this intel, I guess, as well. And two of them, including Lauren Cohan's character, whose name I wrote somewhere else, Alice, I believe her name is in the movie, check out this faint signal, and it ends up being this guy who was like behind this wall, and the gun out begins in the house, back and forth. But James kills this guy that manages to escape, and the team gets out. We cut briefly to James watching some news. And then we cut to 16 months passing, and now they are in a different location somewhere in Asia. And we do this odd cut to this guy just burning stuff for whatever reason. And we have James, we cut back to James, who has his small quirk of having to snap his wristband in order to keep calm, and he does that throughout the movie. The other thing that goes on throughout this movie is several cuts to him saying very short sentences. It gets a little annoying after a while. But it apparently is being a story told to somebody else. So, they go over what they found in this other raid. That being James's team. And he goes in a little walk-in with Alice, and they talk some more. And Alice, her quirk is that she has a daughter, and she's a mother. So we head over to Moscow. I believe that's where the team is located, or where they end up going. Anyway, the team tries to get motivated after their failures, and we go over all the other failures that they have faced before. And James and Alice argue with each other, and we keep, as this is going on, we keep cutting back to this other guy who's being brought in. He has this little device on hand. He's all locked up, but he manages to get the device to this building. So Alice begins to question the guy, and James talks to the leader, and then talks to his team to threaten, or to talk about how if they fail, they will, something terrible will happen. This device that they had is encrypted, and if there's enough time that passes, the encryption will just be deleted. So, anyways, this guy, who we later learn his name is Lee, he's continuing to be questioned, but there's a little bit of interference. So James cuts off that interference. And we learn that some of the guys that brought Lee into this little hospital room uh, want to take him out for good, and he fights back. So we see that he's going to continue to be hunted down. So he must be delivered, as the title implies, 22 miles away to this plane, where they will get him there, and then he will give them access to the code. So that he and his team head out, and shortly after, these bikers start to catch up to them. So the base's computers are turned off only briefly, and then one of the teams is blown up. Not James's team, but the other set of characters that we barely have gotten to know and are blown up. And the bikers continue their attack. So James's team attacks back, and he starts to head out with this other guy, as Lee kind of just protects himself as some of the other guys make their way to him. And he's trying to yell for the code while afterwards, and then trying to find a place to regroup. But as they make their way inside this building, they end up getting separated. They end up reuniting, and they end up in this little cafe-like area where the team gets reunited. And then that building that they are in, when he talks to this other guy who I guess used to be on their team, I actually never got his name throughout the entire movie. So I just called the biker group, or the leader of them anyways, the opposing leader, I guess. Anyways, they get infiltrated in their little base by these fighters that fight them out, but they manage to make their way out through the back. And again, more bikers are there to try to catch up. One of James's guys, Doji, I believe his name was, ends up having to fall behind like one of the other people on their team. So now it is just James, Alice, and this guy that they are leading Lee away, as the other opposing guy comes with his little attack team. And of course, as they're traveling, they get attacked once more as they make their way into this building. So Alice and James get separated again. So they're trying to order James to exit, but he wants to find Alice, so he kind of ignores what's going on. The lights turn off briefly. Alice starts to fight out while protecting this little girl. Lee does his own, fighting people very briefly, because I guess he got separated from them as well. In fact, I would argue that Lee does the most actual physical fighting in the entire movie. And James comes in with some heavy fire, and the other the opposing leader, I should say, attacks James. And Alice attacks this other guy with glass, who almost chokes her out afterwards, and then they manage to reunite with her and save her. So the three of them get into this new truck, and their location gets found again, and the opposing leader finds them once more, but this time they just point at him, and then their mother base, I guess they called it, they just have James point to it and then have it get blown up. Anyways, they make their way to the area where Lee does indeed give the code. And then he says that to say hi to James's mother, which confuses James, but he doesn't really do anything about it. And when the hacker group up above get the info, it ends up being this German like thing, and we get shown that the guy that they killed in the beginning was like, there's a son of somebody on the opposing team, or some sort of relationship to the other team that we saw briefly throughout the movie. And this was them getting their revenge. So, as they're piecing Lee's story together, finding out that he was a triple agent for the Russians, the little mother base ends up getting all killed. And again, it was because he was one of the sons. And the movie just kind of ends with Lee being the victor here. And Mark's character James ends up failing along with Alice. So it definitely is a bit of a different outtake on the whole like sort of espionage thing. It feels like it's a movie that's trying to get a sequel though as well, so there is also that issue. As far as what happens in the movie, there are quite a few. It does feel like it overindulges in cutting a little bit here. Like I said, the characters are more. They're very heavy on just a singular quirk, but Lee, as I mentioned previously, he does get the most action, and when that stuff happens, it's usually the most interesting to watch. Other than that, it was okay. I'd give it a 6 out of 10. So that's my review of Mile 22. And if you enjoyed it, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, make sure to check out that link in the description and head you over to my Patreon page. And any donations are greatly appreciated. And until next time, everyone, bye-bye.